Hurricane watches are now out for the North Gulf Coast. Good evening, I'm Mike Nasa with this 11 p.m. close to midnight update on this Thursday night, early Friday morning on Ida, a brand new tropical storm sitting there in the northwest Caribbean Sea, forecast to be a dangerous hurricane slamming into the North Gulf Coast of the United States by the time Sunday and Monday rolls around. This is a serious storm. Here's the latest from the National Hurricane Center as of 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Ida was at 18.6 north, 80.5 west, winds of 40. So it's a low-end tropical storm, but that will be changing. It's moving northwest at 12 miles per hour, and we have a bunch of watches and warnings out. First of all, we have a hurricane watch from Cameron, Louisiana to the Mississippi-Alabama border, including Lake Pontchartrain, Lake Maurepas, and Metropolitan New Orleans. We also have a tropical storm warning for the Cayman Islands, the Cuban provinces of Matanzas, Havana, Artemisa, Pinar del Rio, and the Isle of Youth, and a tropical storm watch for the Mississippi-Alabama border, and that extends to the Alabama-Florida border. Now, all of those are going to become far more as time goes on, because you can see the forecast track here is pretty straightforward. We have a ridge of high pressure that's going to build a little bit to the west, and that's going to push Ida to the west-northwest, way out into the hot waters of the Gulf, and then it's going to round the ridge right into Louisiana. Of course, it could be closer to Texas. It could still be in areas of Mississippi and Alabama, but I'll tell you right now, Louisiana, you guys seem to be really right down the middle of the line where we think the system will go. And it's faster than we thought. We're talking a landfall sometime late Sunday. So you do not have a lot of time to prepare because it's already Friday. So if tomorrow's Friday and it's the end of the work week, by the start of the next work week, we could have a lot of damage along the Gulf Coast from a powerful hurricane. Now, here's the latest radar out of the Cayman Islands. They finally got it working again down there in Grand Cayman. A lot of the wet weather is on the right side of the storm. Still getting a little bit of westerly shear. It's getting its bearings, and we'll see this, as time goes on, get better organized. But the center is here south of Grand Cayman. That's why we have those tropical storm watches and warnings out for the Cayman Islands. All of this wet weather is headed towards Cuba and the Isle of Youth here over the next 24 hours or so. Very impressed by it. Look at this IR satellite imagery. Look at it fanning out here. That's much better organized as that upper level low kind of dissipated and retrograded off to the west. And we're seeing the fanning out on the western side. Convection building mostly on the east. Very hot waters there. Once it gets through this little bit of wind shear it's got here, it should be all systems go for some serious strengthening. The National Hurricane Center bringing up to at least 110 miles per hour, which is almost a Category 3 hurricane, which would be a major hurricane. You know this map well from last year. I recycled it for this year to use again. Right now, the Hurricane Center forecasting something right about here, and that would be extensive damage at the very least. If it gets any stronger than that and becomes a major hurricane, we could be talking about even devastating damage. So anybody in the warning area, which will eventually be a hurricane warning, right now it's the hurricane watch, you guys need to be prepared for a very powerful storm. And again, looking at that infrared satellite imagery, it appears to be strengthening tonight, at least into a stronger tropical storm. Here's the computer model forecast, the spaghetti model plots as we call them. Still a little uncertain as the center gets its bearings, but they're in pretty good agreement that Louisiana, right into central and southeast Louisiana, and that could have significant impacts to the right of the center, Mississippi. Remember, if a storm hits southeast Louisiana, you could have storm surge hit the Mississippi coastline. We know that all too well from hurricanes in the past. Look at these European ensembles. A little bit further west, a lot of them have it in the mid-Louisiana coastline, areas like Lafayette, New Iberia, Intercoastal City, and then the GFS just, does not like Louisiana. Look at this. I mean, anywhere from Slidell to Sabine Pass is just covered in these potential tracks of Ida over the next 72 hours. So, again, if you live anywhere along the Louisiana coastline, you guys are the number one area that we think are going to be the landfall site. However, if you're in central and southeast Louisiana, you guys might really be ground zero for landfall, and we're going to watch this so carefully. Here's the National Hurricane Center forecast as of 11 p.m. again, And if I zoom in, again, you take this with a grain of salt, okay? It's anybody within the cone. But as of 11 p.m. Thursday night, Homa, you guys are looking like you could be very close to where it makes landfall in areas there near Terrebonne Parish, Morgan City right here, Homa, Louisiana, St. Charles, St. John the Baptist, and then obviously Lake Pontchartrain and New Orleans. So, I mean, you do not want to see this, because if it does become a strong hurricane, then New Orleans is going to be in the right front quadrant and have onshore flow and have all that water pushing up, and it could be a very bad situation for the New Orleans area. Again, we lucked out last year in New Orleans. The storms went to the west. For the most part, you did get hit pretty hard by Zeta when we got into the whole Greek alphabet thing. I kind of blanked out by the end of the year. But Laura obviously hit Lake Charles and Cameron really, really hard. And you guys are currently under a storm surge advisory. A storm surge watch from Sabine Pass all the way to the Alabama-Florida border. That includes Vermilion Bay, Lake Borgne, Lake Pontchartrain, Lake Maurepas, and even Mobile Bay. You guys over here in Mobile, don't think that you're out of the woods. You could have significant water rises from this storm. I'll show you that in a minute. Here's the water temperatures. Again, very, very warm there. And the loop current there in the Gulf is going to cross some of the hottest water in the Atlantic, and that should give it some high-octane fuel. Here's that water rise, as I mentioned, 7 to 11 feet from Morgan City all the way over towards areas of Mississippi. Lake Pontchartrain, 3 to 5. Lake Maurepas, 2 to 4. Vermilion Bay, 4 to 7. 4 to 7 over here to the Mississippi-Alabama border. And in Mobile Bay, 3 to 5. And this is with the expectation that this is going to be a borderline Category 2-3 hurricane. We can't rule out something stronger. And this area, regardless, is very susceptible to high surge. Last year, everybody was saying, where's the storm surge with Laura? Laura didn't give any surge. Oh, yes, she did. 15 to 20 feet, but it was over these wildlife refuges. Had the storm been further to the east or west, we could have seen areas that are much more inhabited hit with a storm surge. So if this storm Ida comes in over here, look out on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Rainfall, very high, 10 to 15 inches from areas of Intercoastal City all the way over to Mississippi, and these estimates will likely increase. This is all new. The system's still a tropical storm. It's still a few days away. But look at this. This is by Wednesday of next week. By September 1st, look at this rainfall impact. I mean, you're talking a easy 10 inches, easy with this hurricane as it'll push on in. The key messages for Tropical Storm Ida as of 11 p.m. Number 1, tropical storm conditions are expected in the Cayman Islands tonight and portions of western Cuba Friday. Dangerous storm surge with that onshore flow, life-threatening rains, flooding, mudslides across Jamaica, the Caymans, western Cuba, and the Isle of Youth. 2, there is an increasing risk of life-threatening storm surge. Remember, water is what kills. And inundation along the coastline of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, and we have that storm surge watch. Interest in those areas should follow advice given by their local officials. Number 3, there is an increasing risk of a dangerous hurricane-force wind beginning Sunday along portions of the Louisiana and Mississippi areas, including New Orleans, where the hurricane watch is in effect. Finally, Ida is expected to produce heavy rainfall Sunday into Monday along the central Gulf Coast, resulting in flash urban, small stream, and river flooding. Heavy rainfall and flooding impacts are likely along the central Gulf Coast Sunday into Monday. Okay? So this is a very serious threat. I want everybody to get prepared along the Louisiana coastline. Remember, this is going to be a dangerous hurricane, it looks like. So what do you need? Have the emergency food and water supply. Have your medicine. A lot of people forget their medicine. And that's a big problem, so make sure you have your medicine. Make sure you have flashlights and extra batteries. And then any important documents, medical stuff, wills, passports, any ID information. Put it in a watertight bag. Keep it with you. Make sure everything's organized now. Do it tonight before you go to sleep, or at least by tomorrow afternoon. Because, believe it or not, this is going to be a very quick event. We're expecting this storm to be inland by Monday, and it's already just about Friday. Aside from people, there's also hurricane preparedness for pets, and I wanted to touch on this. A lot of people forget that some of these dogs that are strays or get tied out there, they get left behind, and when that water comes in, they don't have a chance. So make sure you get sturdy leashes and harnesses or carriers so you can transport them around, especially if you're evacuating. And make sure where you're going will allow pets, because some places won't. Food, drinking water bowls, kitty litter pans, and a manual can opener for their food. And any medications or medical records, if your pets have medical records, put those in a waterproof container. And this is important. Have a current picture of your pet in case they get lost, and that'll help you find them in the event that they disappear during the storm. But again, a lot of people forget about the little pets, and that's sad because they could get washed away just as easily as people. So that'll do it tonight. If you're going to sleep along the Gulf Coast, tomorrow, the last work day, I'm sure everybody's going to be working and talking about Ida. This storm is going to mean business. Right now it's getting better organized, starting to fan out there, and it's going to move in a direction very quickly towards western Cuba and then up towards the south central Louisiana coastline. Anybody in the hurricane watch area, you know what to do. Start going over those plans and get ready for Ida. We're already seeing some evacuation notices. I'm going to, one sec here. There you go. Voluntary evacuation for Grand Isle. This is going to get more serious as time goes on. So again, the voluntary evacuations, I'm very sure, will become mandatory evacuations, especially in low-lying areas as Ida draws closer. This is going to mean business. So everybody be prepared for Tropical Storm Ida, what's going to be a hurricane and probably a major hurricane. And we're turning in for the night. I will talk to you guys next time as we continue to watch Ida grow and feed in the Caribbean.